This is my superhero intro for the superhero that I made and the superhero universe that I created along with her um, for the LGBTQ plus superhero that we were either supposed to create or talk about. So I actually made some artwork of her. I don't know really how to input it here onto the video. I might, if I have time, I'll try to attach it to the Canvas page. If not, because I've never done that before, like taking my art and putting it into Canvas. I'll figure that out if I have time. But I took some kind of like core pieces from the readings, like superhero readings, where it was talking about a lot of superhero, genre details with like crime fighting, and I kind of wanted to do something similar but different, but more kind of directed towards LGBTQ kind of issues. So the superhero I came up with is this transgender lesbian woman who is actually a former astronaut. And what happens is I also like kind of created a little universe, kind of related to our world, um, but she was, sorry, I'm looking for the notes I took. Here we go. So she was a former astronaut, and during one of her missions, she was like in her spaceship or space shuttle, and she ended up getting blasted away. Like she was doing something like outside her spaceship, and suddenly this is also set in the future, might I add, so like technology is really advanced. So she somehow got blasted away from her like ship, almost away from her ship, by like a sunspot or sun flare, so like the sun's energy kind of attacked her ship, and so she ended up going back inside and trying to make sure that not everything went haywire. And but when she was in the spaceship, right, to have this spaceship be stable, she needs to like handle like this sort of like kind of cube shaped object that kind of is the core of the ship. And what happens is kind of the sun's power kind of charges up all around the ship and goes into the core and into her, so she kind of gets some sun power of some kind. And she kind of doesn't really fully realizes it yet, kind of like not really electricity, but something like that. And she gets, and so she ends up being fine, she gets it all stabilized, and later on she comes back to Earth. And when she comes back, it's kind of, obviously, as you're in space, time passes drastically, or different than how it is on Earth. So by the time she gets on Earth, lots of things have changed, and it kind of goes back to oh, I forgot a core part of this. The ship is kind of directed towards like a wormhole or like a black hole, and the ship gets sucked into it, and then now we get back to it, kind of pushes her kind of back in time to our time, somehow. And then she kind of like an alternate universe sort of thing, where like she then comes to our world, and she realizes kind of how like problematic and like not accepting like a lot of the world still is in terms of like LGBTQ plus people. So she kind of realizes, she kind of goes on this journey of like figuring out her power, and what she does is she she kind of uses her powers and kind of harnesses it, and she protects a lot of her focus is on trans and LGBTQ plus youth, um, protecting them, and um, also making sure, like that they're safe and being accepted and that sort of thing. Um, but also to battle and combat transphobes and, homophobia, transphobia, um, just ignorance, also educating people along the way, kind of trying to attack people in power who don't really care for, LGBTQ plus people and just kind of like youth in general. Um, so that's kind of like how she goes about being the superhero of the day. Um, like also kind of attacking capitalism and corporations and sort of that too, because it's like kind of like a whole systemic problem. But one thing that I looked up when I was doing my little research on like superheroes and LGBTQ plus things. I came across this paper. It seemed very similar to the and of course it's not working right now. What just happened? Hold on, let me find it real quick. Oh, I found it. Sorry. Um, so it's this paper very close to what I read in the superhero reader, talking about kind of like a lot of the multiverses and also like the videos too that we watched. It was very much like those, like that second video we watched, talking about like all the different like, universes, DC, Marvel, and talking about like all the characters and stuff. And in their individual, like worlds and how that sort of thing. Um, it's called, it's this paper, it's called Diversity is Almost a Superhero, a critical analysis of diversity in DC's Arrowverse. I think I might be going a bit over time almost, but there was one quote that I just wanted to say real quick. Let me quickly find it. It was right here. Oh, I found it. Okay, so it within the paper it talks specifically about like other it mentions queer theory, um, and one of the quotes that like in relation to that was uh, it said quote, instead, the core aim of queer theory is to move past all binaries, power structures, and societal norms and view sexuality as an as an evolving piece of human existence. And I kind of like after I read this, I kind of like intertwined that with my character. So like kind of her core beliefs and the reason why she does what she does is so that she can evolve, like kind of and help evolve society and help get past all these structured boxes that people put like LGBTQ plus people in, and like fight for equal rights and that sort of things. So yeah, sorry I'm a bit over time. So yeah.